Aloha and welcome to Tiki Tuesday Talks. Happy to be back. We got a very important topic for you this time, talking about pivoting the pandemic, how to make bars work, what to do amidst all this. Let's welcome our guests. Carl, you're not there, but the bar looks good. We'll get to you in a moment. Chelsea, what's up? Where are you ringing in from?
Hey, I'm here coming to you live from Baltimore.
Balmer.
Yeah, Balmer.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me on.
Yes, excited to have you. Where are you at specifically?
I am at home in the Hamden neighborhood, and it's quiet down here.
A little bit out of the city.
Yeah, it's a little bit further north, and we're along the Jones Falls here in the building where I am at. So it feels a little like you're in the country in the middle of the city, which is kind of silly. But yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Right on. Carl, looking good, man.
What's up? How's it going?
What's happening?
I'm all right.
You're at the bar. Tell us a little more.
Well, this is 67 Orange Street. This is actually my first bar. Since then, I've opened a few others, Solomon and Cuff and the Anchor. This is home.
Yeah, you got there pretty quick. How far do you live from there?
So 67 Orange Street's in Harlem, and the bar is on 113th. I live on 123rd, so it's pretty easy. The Anchor's in New Haven, though, so got a little bit of a trek to get there. Nah, it's a little bit of a trek. I'm actually heading there right after this, so
Life of an entrepreneur, man.
Yes, it is.
I'm heading nowhere ever, basically. After this.
Well, considering what's happening right now, that's probably the best place to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's weird. I went from literally being in a different city every week to being in the same place for 9 straight months, which is an interesting change of pace. But hey, here we are. We're doing it.
Yeah, well, we all have an excuse to put on an extra 15 pounds now. So
Right.
that's all. I'm like, all right,
Yeah. Steva.
Hi. Well, I was just saying before we went on that I made some shortbread today. So, speaking of the extra 15 pounds.
Yeah, I don't even really know what that is. Can you tell us what that is?
What shortbread is?
Yes.
It's like a butter cookie. So I made a chocolate butterscotch. So it's 3 layers. So it's a butter cookie on the bottom and then butterscotch and then dark chocolate.
Is it always this way? Because I know what shortbread is generally, but I've never seen it like that. Is that like your iteration?
Well, I found this recipe on the New York Times because, regular shortbread, I'm not going to say it's boring, but
it's boring.
It's a great base for other things.
Got it. Understood. I do like to look at the recipes and know that I'll never make any of them, but they look really nice.
Listen, 80% of them are very workable.
I believe that. Not for me, but I believe it for normal skill set. Aaron, what's happening?
What's going on? How is
You're in the
everybody?
car. That's unexpected.
Yeah, these mean streets of Baltimore, I got to keep it moving,
Right.
Actually, I'm probably a couple of blocks from Chelsea's neighborhood. So, we're kind of in the same rural oasis of Jones Falls.
At some point, he'll just drive by my window like this.
Yes. Hi. Hello.
There you go.
How you doing?
Throw some mixers.
Yes.
Here's hoping.
Yeah, we're preparing for anywhere between 5 to a foot of snow tomorrow. So I'm trying to get all of that errands and get some stuff done before we actually get real snow. Hopefully.
Good luck with it. Good luck with it.
Yeah.
Don't miss that, to be honest with you.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. We'll see you guys in a bit.
Bye.
Let's get to it over here. So really quick on the logistical side. Carl, you introduced yourself, owner of, as mentioned, 67 Orange in Harlem, great cocktail bar, opened in the middle of the last economic crisis. So that's kind of where we're starting this rooting. Now 12 years old, as well anchor in New Haven and Connecticut. I'll let you get into the depths of your background, but I think what is cool in particular for me is we come from a shared background, which is very rare for a spirits industry, for me to be talking to anybody who can speak that language. So that'll be pretty cool to kind of chat that. Of course, we're both kind of not doing it right now, but sort of doing it at the same time. So as usual, chat box and questions. If you're on Crowdcast or Facebook, hit us up. Please do share the event. The tip jar, Venmo, Carl-Williams-3. Presentation 30 to 40, cocktail session after, and then we'll bring Chelsea back on. Let's get us back here. And we'll flip to yours now.
Here we go. So are we showing up good?
We're showing up great. Looks perfect.
All right. Thank you, Peter, for inviting me to do this talk. Obviously, it is very relevant and important now. We are all kind of just figuring this out. This is a crazy, crazy time, and it almost seems to get more complicated by the day. Here in New York, they just ended indoor dining, and now we have a snowstorm on the way, and which means no outdoor either. So it's just a crazy, crazy time, and we're all just trying to figure out how to survive. So I'm really hoping that what I can do today is kind of take everyone through some of the things that I've learned in my journey, and see if those things can work for others as they try to work through this time. So a little bit about my journey. Like you said, Pete, I have a very sort of different, experience or background than a lot of folks in the industry. I went to Yale and majored in electrical engineering, and went to work for Procter & Gamble in manufacturing for a couple years, and then realized that so I used my degree for about 2 years. People always ask, did you ever use your degree? Well, I used my degree for about 2 years, a little bit less, and then
officially used
it. Right. And then sort of discovered that the world at Procter really revolves around the marketers and brands and brand building, and I wanted a piece of that action, and so I was able to transfer with the company into the brand division and move to Puerto Rico because I didn't want to go to Cincinnati.
Better choice.
So
better choice.
Yeah, I was 20, like at 22. Like the idea of going to Cincinnati was like, I'm a New Yorker, so nothing against anyone on from Cincinnati, but I thought Puerto Rico, I could be at a tropical island. I'm doing that. So I went to Puerto Rico, which is great because became fluent in Spanish, learned to learn another language, another culture, which is pretty awesome. But I was there for 2 years working, doing U.S. Hispanic marketing for Procter on laundry detergent. And then I left Procter because after a while doing laundry detergent got kind of stale for me. And I left Procter in Puerto Rico and moved to New York and went to work for Pepsi. And then I spent another 6 years and change at Pepsi, in roles of increasing responsibility, started as a U.S. Hispanic, saying Latino, doing Latino marketing across brands. And then I moved on to be the brand manager of Mountain Dew. And then I moved into innovation.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So then I moved into innovation for a while, and then so that was kind of my story there. So I mean, the thing that was always kind of a part of this for me was that I was always interested in being an entrepreneur. Like the idea of being an entrepreneur was always at the heart of what I wanted to do. It's why I chose electrical engineering, because I wanted to create. It's why I moved into branding and marketing, because I wanted to understand how business and how creating brands really worked. And so the idea of being an entrepreneur was always like heavy for me. So while in Puerto Rico, I saw that there weren't any coffee shops like a Starbucks style, like loungy, comfy. And so I was interested in trying to open one in Puerto Rico, but got the call from Pepsi, went to work there, and kind of shelved that idea. But when I got to New York, I wanted to live in a community that was kind of had some interest to it, that was kind of intriguing. So I came to Harlem and discovered that the same thing was happening here. The coffee shop vibe that I was looking for I wasn't finding here. I was finding downtown and other places, but not here. So I decided to open a coffee shop here in Harlem, and that was my first foray into being an entrepreneur. So I opened Society Coffee. That was back in 2005, and then still was kind of having this debate about, do I leave Pepsi? Do I stay? Do I continue to be go on this marketing path towards becoming a head of marketing or CMO, or do I leave and become a full-time entrepreneur? And so at the time I was working on a project in innovation, discovered the world of mixology because I was talking to mixologists for ideas on creating new products.
Wow.
And met Steve Olson, and his energy was just so infectious. And he took me to some of these great bars, and I was blown away. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to make that leap. I think I'm going to open a bar and leave this corporate life behind and see where this takes me. And so that's what I did. I opened 67 Orange Street. I left Pepsi, in 2008, opened 67 Orange Street. And here we are 12 years later. Since then, I've opened 2 other bars, the Anchor in New Haven and Solomon and Cuff, which was a rum bar that we actually closed last year.
So just a quick couple items on that. I'm sure we could talk all about that, but that's not really related to everything here. But one is I went in with the same mentality of going into consumer product marketing. I worked for Danone and Red Bull.
Right.
And just the idea that, hey, maybe I want to own my own company. Maybe I want to be a general manager at a bigger company. And I kind of learned really fast.
Exactly.
I want to be a general manager at a big company. And I had the same also challenge of like, when do you leave, right? Because you've got somebody that pays you. I left, pretty much didn't pay myself for 6 years, which is cool. But it is like a push-pull. Like, do you leave the nest of that? When's the right time? When do you just go for it? How do you figure that out? So,
no, I mean,
go through it almost at the same time. Honestly, I was a few years after where I did that, but it's pretty funny. The parallel.
No, that's wild. I mean, to be honest, and I mean, if we go forward, fast forward now, 4 restaurants, bars later, I like someone will say, okay, if you get, and this, if you get to a certain level, that back then it was senior brand manager, which was a executive 1 position there, which is where I was. It's the golden handcuffs. Like, you don't leave then. You go be a CMO somewhere, head of marketing somewhere. And, so you do a couple more roles there, and then you go. And so most of my peers now are in huge jobs. But there's never been a day where I regretted leaving Pepsi. I wish I made the money now my peers make. But I love the freedom of it. I love being able to create and bring ideas to life. I love the spirit of the bar industry. I mean, I could do a whole talk on whether or not on what direction I think people should go right now with this and how the industry. I do think the industry is actually becoming unfortunately, it's becoming more of a platform because it's getting harder and harder to make money in the bar business. Just pressure from labor movements and regulation and the like. It's just gotten harder. But it is a great platform, and I continue to be very bullish on, and I love the industry. So,
right on, man.
So to tell you a little bit about my the two bars, 67 Orange Street. It's been open 12 years now. The Anchor has been almost 5 years. You know, tons of press. If you Google either location, you'll see the stories are just there's so many great stories about us, and we continue to be as relevant as ever. I mean, so after all those years, you can start to lose some of your relevancy, and you know, people start to care a little bit less. But for us, luckily that just hasn't been our story. We are not luckily. I mean, I can tell you why, and that's some of the things we'll talk about here. But you know, it is. We are our sales at both places. You know, prior to this, we were doing as well as ever. So that is like you know, we're very proud of the businesses themselves. So right now, you know, we were offering indoor dining up until until we closed it this week. We still are doing indoor dining at the Anchor. You can do it in New Haven, but just not in New York. But outdoor dining, we do takeout and delivery. We have a great takeout cocktail program, you know, where our cocktails are in bottles, and you know, we can take them out. We have cocktail kits, which are you can buy a whole kit, which is a full bottle of alcohol, as well as everything you need to be able to make any of the cocktails that to make the cocktail that comes for that kit. We're also doing gift cards. We have masks that we're doing that are branded, and we're doing a lot of virtual holiday parties where, you know, just like this, I'll talk to you about how to make cocktails, and you know, do a fun and engaging conversation, and while people are at home making the drinks and having a good time. So, you know, those are all our current offerings. So the key here is this is sort of where we pivoted to. Like we were 67 Orange was a speakeasy, like this sort of dark bar where, you know, you couldn't, I mean, there's dark curtains, you couldn't see inside, but you'd walk through the curtains and have this whole experience. And then the Anchor, you know, historic bar, you know, very moody and all, but it was all about what happened inside. And now it's about what happens outside and what we, you know, the things that we do in terms of offerings we do and takeout and delivery and everything else. So that's sort of how we pivoted the programs, and it's been working for us. But there's a lot more to it, and I'll go into a lot of that. The results have been strong. 67 Orange, we're at 80% of our pre-COVID levels. So to hit that kind of result in New York City, obviously, is huge. Very few of our peers or the other bars around us are anywhere close to that. And so that was a huge number. At Anchor, we were actually able to double our business. And, you know, our business today is about twice the size of it's. I mean, we were having a sort of a down year in 2019 as it was. So we're back to the levels we were at our peak year of 2018. So we were back to those peak levels of 2018, which was, you know, again, 200% of where we were kind of the year before. So
it's amazing. What I'll say is, one, congrats on that. And two,
thank you.
Really interesting from my side as somebody who has the spirit, interacts with people like yourself, and seeing the variety of approaches that people take. And of course, it's hard and it's weird and regulations are challenging, they're changing all the time. But you know, I can see a marked difference between people who are trying to figure out how to deal with it and react to it as best they can, and people who are just like waving the white flag. And it's not a judgment. I get it. Might make sense. But, you know, it's exciting for me to see people doing what you're doing for the future of where we're going, right? Because we need people like you innovating, figuring out how to get through it, staying committed to good programs to help get the word out about great craft spirits and things like that are out there too. So, you know, I think it's awesome to see. And you know, I've seen a wide variety of approaches, if you will, to this.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's hustle, right? It's like you figure it out, you figure out how to make it happen.
Right.
Again, that's actually the goal of this is to sort of provide some ideas on how to think about like the thought process, because everyone's gonna the right approach. There is no cookie cutter. This is the perfect approach for everyone, right? It's more about figuring it out. And so what I'm going to provide for you in the next several slides are some ways to kind of figure it out, how to make these decisions.
Cool.
All right. So there are 6 lessons. Collaborate, stay aware. I could have said stay woke. Move fast, guard your cash.
Love that one. Yep. Feel that intensely.
Yeah, man. Stick to what you do best and communicate continuously. So those are our 6 lessons. Collaborate, stay woke, move fast, guard your cash, stick to what you do best, and communicate continuously. So let's dig into that. And one story, I can tell you that kind of really speaks to this. And I learned this lesson very early on. In 2009, I opened 67 Orange in December of 2008. And everyone knows that 2007 to 2009 is what they call the Great Recession. It was the biggest economic decline in this country since the Great Depression. And obviously we're matching or beating that now with what's happened due to COVID. But that was the original Great Recession. And unlike this current economic downturn driven by COVID, there was in 2007, 2009, there was not sort of a universal recognition of a problem that needed to be solved for everyone. So banks got bailed out, big business got support, but small business and entrepreneurs were kind of left out in the cold. I had just opened this business in Harlem because Harlem kind of prior to these years was just this emerging sort of burgeoning neighborhood where I could just see the real potential. And a bunch of us saw it and we're like, hey, let's do this. Let's open businesses here. And then the market sort of, this huge downturn happens. Development just falls off. There's nothing happening. Society Coffee was under scaffolding for 3 years before we just were forced to close it. So it was just a really, really kind of challenging time to be in. And there wasn't any PPP or EIDL or Zoom, holiday parties to do. And so a group of us got together and said, hey, you know what? We are all very smart people with great backgrounds. Some of us had made the jump from corporate like I had. Some of us had just been in the game for a long time doing whatever we did. And we got together around one of the tables at society and we said, if we get together, if we put our heads together, we can really figure out how to survive this.